Hello, welcome to another episode of Constitutionalist Podcast. I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard. That's L-E-N-A-R-D. It looks French. It's not. It's Leonard without an O. Thank you for tuning in. As Graham Norton used to say on his show, let's get on with the show! Welcome to Deja Vu Week. No, that's not what it is. But kind of, sort of. Welcome to Books/Authors Week, May 2026. Just coming out of April 2026, Books/Authors Week, and October Books/Authors Weeks of October 2025. So yes, you guessed it. It's all about cucumbers and tomatoes and deli shopping. Yep. Books. Let's get on a guest. Joining me today is Michael J. Clausen, and middle initial in there for a reason. I'll get into that in a minute. Of CEO of Illumify Media. Welcome, my friend, to the show.
Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And as Michael knows, there is an imposter out there using his name. I'm kidding, of course. There is another Michael Clausen. I forget what his middle initial is. And I'd always intended on having you on my show, but we just never got around to it. But the impetus for it kind of came when I got an invite from that other Michael Clausen to appear on his podcast. And I remember I sent you the email. Is this you? Are you doing a podcast now?
Yeah. Well, you know, when I registered my Facebook page 20 years ago or whenever that was, and I did Mike Clausen, and there were like 80 Mike Clausens already registered on Facebook. So I thought, well, you know, and everything I write is going to go by Michael J. J is for James, my dad. And that way I can differentiate myself a little bit, although, boy, we almost had a mistake or something happen with you. So
yeah, so but I'm glad they reached out, because it ended up being the impetus to finally get you on. And I'm the same way with my name, Joseph M. Leonard. It looks French. It's not Leonard. It was Leonard Łaskowicki or something at some time. It's Polish, Leonard without the O. But yeah, I have to use my middle initial because there is a Joseph Leonard spelled the same way out of South Carolina, who is also a Christian author. So,
wow.
Yeah, I know, right? And I even get emails on occasion from about his books asking me. And in fact, I did a Constitutionalist video exclusive. I am not Shakespeare, and I joke, I am not that Joseph Leonard, and he is not me, and neither of us will be confused for Shakespeare.
That's right.
So a little tongue-in-cheek to differentiate, because I'd love to have that Joseph Leonard on my show.
Sure.
But he doesn't return any calls I've attempted to make or emails. I can't find a website for him. But anyway, you're here.
Well, maybe he's your evil twin.
Yeah, right. I'd like to know. But at any rate, you are CEO of Illumify Media, which, full disclosure, my terror strikes coming soon to a city near you. The imprint is technically McHenry Press, and
right.
We'll get into that. But through you and Illumify Media. And what I like about it's a family. It's not just a publishing firm. And we'll get into that more too. But the obvious first question, what is Illumify?
So we publish books for authors who want to change the world, and I've been in publishing since 1997. We've probably published in the last 10 years over 300 books. And anyway, that's what we do. We have coaches to help coach you up. If we like the message, we'll coach you up to get that manuscript up to the right spot. But we have professional typesetters, copy editors, book cover designer, one main book cover designer, and then we can distribute your book around the world.
Your motivation for leaving traditional publishing to go out on your own and start up this?
Yeah, so I have been traditionally published. I have actually worked on about 70 traditionally published books, and actually, probably half of the study Bibles out there, I was the theological editor, and I authored some books on prayer. But what I found was in traditional publishing, there's some really good things about it where they're going to, they can give you that stamp of approval that you're a good writer, but they also, in exchange, ask for the rights to your book. They don't ask, they demand the rights, and you can't even forfeit those. They won't forfeit the rights until 70 years after you die. So I wrote a book in 2001 on prayer by a traditional publisher. I'm not going to badmouth them by name, but they bought my book, and it sold okay. I had a co-author on that, and then I tried to get the rights back because they weren't doing anything with it, and they wouldn't even answer my emails. And then finally, they contacted me in 2022 and said, "Oh, we're going to re-release your book. Here's the new title, and here's the new cover." I had zero say on anything on those decisions. And and actually the book sold better the second time around than the first time around, but it just was disempowering. And so with our version of publishing, which is a hybrid, we call it hybrid. It's kind of self-publishing and traditional publishing having a kid. You get the quality of the traditional publishing, but then you get the control of the self-publisher. Our authors will make over twice as much in royalties. They make $10 to $12 per copy of print books that they sell in person. So it's really an advantage for authors. If you have a platform, if you have an audience out there, you're better off going with us. You're going to make more money publishing through us than you will going through a traditional publisher.
There's good and bad with everything, and right. I call it assisted publishing. Yeah. And all assisted publishing firms are not the same. There are low end and there are high end, and there are a whole lot of ripoff agents out there.
A whole lot. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
In fact, I lost out on a podcast opportunity. Someone initially invited me on, but when they found out I worked with you, because they've had people who've worked with bad hybrids, bad assisted publishings, rip-off agents, they decided they wash their hand of any author that has anything to do with any hybrid publisher.
Really?
Yeah, and that to me is really, so you're going to punish me and you for other bad actors.
Right. Well, and there's a lot of arrogance in the traditional publishing circles. They look down on other people. They want to be the gatekeeper to anything published, and they don't want anybody outside publishing the book except them. And I found there's a lot of arrogance in the industry. And again, that's a reason why I jumped out of traditional publishing and into hybrid publishing.
Mm-hmm. Terror Strike's coming soon to a city near you. Explain why it's a McHenry press imprint rather than an Illumify Media.
So I used to work 10 years ago. I worked for a right-wing publisher journalism company, and we had a lot of good business, and then they were starting to kind of shut down, and I started Illumify, but we had a lot of authors who had conservative books that they were publishing, and I thought, you know what, why don't we spin out our own imprint called McHenry Press? And I was thinking of Fort McHenry, where the Star-Spangled Banner was written, or the words were, where the rockets, red glare, bombs bursting in air, and there's all this craziness right now in our society with, and here you try to get this voice, this beacon of freedom that you're trying to tell everybody about, and it just seemed the right kind of imprint. So we've done a few McHenry Press books, you being one of them, Joseph, but we've done some other ones as well, and that way we can kind of create a brand around McHenry Press.
Yeah, my friend Patrick J. Colbeck, who used to be a Michigan State legislator in the Michigan Senate, Bishop Ira Combs, finally. I talked to you. We talked about him years ago, and that finally happened now.
Right.
Yes?
Yeah. We had a ghostwriter working with him. Let me just say, Patrick Colbeck is one of the best people I know. I mean, he is just, wow. I really think highly of him.
As do I. I'm glad we're friends. I don't see him anymore these days, it seems. But,
right.
There comes that, unfortunately, reach different forks in the road, but on still the same attitudes and whatnot. You mentioned a cover team, and Lisa mainly. I wanted to talk about my cover, but before I go there, I want to talk about the subtitle. One thing professionals like you help bring to the table is discussion. I have a different I was always insistent it would be Terror Strikes, but there are a bazillion books called Terror Strikes. The subtitle is what distinguishes it. I originally had Terror Strikes, They're Here, Soon They'll Strike. That was my working title, what I expected would be the title. And you guys all workshopped with me a better subtitle, Coming Soon to a City Near You, holds the same thought of They're Here, Soon They'll Strike, but makes it
compelling, makes it more compelling.
There you go. More compelling and even more descriptive of some of what I was trying to say in the book. Hey, it's not just a New York thing, 9/11. It's not just a Madrid, Spain, 3/11, or London attack. It can happen in a location near you. Smaller terror strikes are happening all over. So coming soon to a city near you really indeed compelled it to that much higher level. And your years of publishing helped bring that about. And I say, pick your battles. Right? Stick to your guns on like certain content in the book through the editing process. I stuck to my guns on it. No, that word has to be there for a particular subconscious, subliminal, other reasoning, an Easter egg, kind of, if you will, for those who wink, wink, nod, nod, nudge, nudge, who will get that broader implication. But be open to most of the editing changes, because again, you guys are professional. The book title potential change, the cover. I had a 4-quadrant design that I wanted, and you guys kept saying, and I eventually gave in, 4, that might be distracting and may be too busy. We could put elements on the cover in pieces, in like it's hard to tell from here. The doomsday clock is pretty obvious, but the other subtle imagery, unless if you're looking at the book, you don't see. And you indeed convinced me a simpler, more subtle cover, even with the elements, something compelling. Again, the main thing with the doomsday clock, the striking, because I also originally wanted the I in strikes to be an AK-47 round, but we couldn't find the right round. You guys had a NATO bullet, and I didn't know that isn't it, and gun people will know the difference. But the people, unlike Martin Luther King Jr., content of character, don't judge a human by their cover. They definitely judge your book by its cover. Yes?
Yeah, you're right. Right. Well, and one of the philosophies I take with me into Illumify is I'm a strong believer in collaboration. And I believe, we've got experience in publishing, your subject material. And I believe that when we bounce things back and forth enough, we're going to get a better product than if it was just us or just you making that decision. So to your point, that's how we came up with your great book. It was a collaboration between you and our team.
Yes. And I really liked, because it was, although I've been writing my whole life and published locally things, that was my first international book. So I needed definitely the help in making that presentable, not just outside Michigan, but outside the nation, even, to make it international.
Right, right. Well, and book covers, oftentimes when people design the cover themselves, they end up creating a book that drives people away from their book rather than to it. There's too much going on the front cover, and on the back cover, there's too many words, and people won't read it. But a good book cover is going to really get somebody's attention. When we're working on even the title, and your title is perfect for this. When people go onto Amazon, they see your book cover, and the cover is the size of a thumbnail. And so what you need is a title that's short enough that you can have a bigger font size for your cover. Terror Strikes, 2 words. I like 1 and 2 word titles. And look how big the font size is on your cover. And those are little things that people don't always think about. So, but your cover is a great example.
Yeah, and I'm really happy with it. Indeed, it's much better. I'm still fond of you guys still coming from publishing, hold to but that's kind of the way it's been done. That's kind of the way we do it. And I like pushing boundaries on occasion. But that was one I gave up. But that was at first an initial thought. Hey, my cover will be pushing boundaries and different, and it'll catch the right eyes. But indeed, truly, it can drive a lot of eyes away.
But your book is doing a great job, so we're really proud of your book.
It would be like asking a parent what their favorite child is, so not going to do that. So let me ask a fact-based question so you don't have to pick and choose. What recent books have come out on, or if you prefer, what's in the works? And I understand we have to be careful how we may talk about it, depending how close to being published they are, because you don't want to give away titles and whatnot, because that happens with movies a lot. A studio will announce a movie and a bunch of other studios then rush to present a copy of it quicker.
Right. Yeah. Well, so actually, and I met with this author this morning. We were contacted by an author, and when he told me his name, Walt Callistad, I knew who he was. He was one of the top-selling Christian authors in the 1990s. He pastored a church called Community Church of Joy in Phoenix, Arizona, and he had a book idea called Epic Marketplace Revival. And his first wife died, and he wrote the book with his second wife, Blakeney. And John Maxwell endorsed it. Ken Blanchard endorsed it. We had some high-profile names. But he's talking about what God is doing in the marketplace in touching people's hearts. And the exciting part that's happening for us right now is there's different Christian music stations. One is K-Love, but there's another one, a competitor called Way FM. and they're having a business conference in Nashville, and we're going to be a sponsor at that conference, but we're hosting Walt Callistad, who has sold millions of books, and we're doing he and I are both on panel discussions, and then we're doing a book signing there. We're doing that together, and we're taking that message about what God can do through business people and taking it to the very people who need to hear it. And he's going to do some other promotional things as well. We also worked with an author who sold a lot of books, Bob Belts, wrote a book called The Holy Spirit. And he and Walt together were actually consultants on a lot of the movies, Christian movies that have been out there. And Bob Belts, we just released his book, and we're really proud of that book as well. So we've had some really good things. We had about 60 books we did last year. I love changing the world, partnering with my authors.
One book at a time.
Right.
Yeah, and regarding the business, most businesses used to want to stay out of faith and politics, and politics really crept in. And so a lot of businesses now are seeing, well, the faith needs to come back in. So we are seeing more of that, as opposed to before didn't want to touch that subject. So that's good timing on that, I think.
I was a pastor for 28 years, and I was writing books on the side, and then just ran out of gas about 10 years ago and decided just to focus on publishing. And I run my publishing company the way I pastor churches. We're relational. We love our authors, live in integrity. I answer to God for the way I run this company. And I'm not preachy with authors who we pick up who are not believers, but I'm not going to hide my faith. I'm just going to live it openly and be who I am. And I've had some authors, and they're going through a crisis, and so I pray with them in our Zoom meetings. And if they don't like it, well, they can publish somewhere else. This is God's company, and that's why I was so interested. We're doing a lot more business books, just because I want to see people live in their faith in their everyday world, and doing these books and working with authors like this helps us do it. Helps them do it.
I'm not trying to make this all about my book again, but people think about a terrorism book. Did you have any misgivings when I first approached you? Because it's really about life and living, not about death and destruction. But coming at you with a book about terrorism, and it is a Christian book, but not the normal fluffy kind of traditional book. Did you have misgivings? Do you remember when I first approached you?
Well, and we've done some business with people in Michigan. I don't know. It was Patrick Colbeck who kind of opened the way for us to meet a number of great people, and you knew Pat, and so I wasn't afraid. And that's another reason why I thought, well, let's get this imprint. We can focus on this. A lot of similar messages, and we did 2 books with Pat. One was Illumify, one was the McHenry Press. We have your book. We've done some other ones that help kind of guide that focus, and where people are not going to be, afraid of terror in the title. I actually think terror is a great word to have in the title, because the role of the title is to hook the reader, and terror is there's terrorism stuff going on today in Mexico, in Puerto Vallarta. So people, with the cartels, so you want to hook your reader, and then oftentimes the subtitle, you define your audience. Your title and subtitle, they kind of go together, but I'm all about the hook, and whatever's going to get people's attention, so they'll open up the book, or at least look at the book description and look at the table of contents, and if they're on Amazon, and then buy your book. That's kind of the goal of why I wasn't afraid of your title. I thought it was a great title.
Okay, yeah, because whenever I do interviews on other shows about the book, I always add in, I'm not trying to sell fear porn here. It's about hope. It's about life and living, not death and destruction.
Right.
But indeed, until you actually start to get into the book, that title suggests otherwise. Starting to wrap things up, anything you want to add before I get to the where do people find you question? Any other things you want to add in? Any other recent books or current projects? Or
Let me think. I mean, we're always in the middle of working with different authors at different levels, and I mean, the main thing is the authors we work with, they become our friends, and we become, the relationship continues. So the last book we published with you, Joseph, was what, 2 years ago? But we keep up the relationship because that's the way that I want Illumify to run. We're building a community of authors. It's not just one and done. We're building a community of authors, and we have an annual conference every September.
I
writers
wish
conference.
Let's talk about that more, because I really wish I could make it out there to see you all IRL in real life and attend that conference, but my disability budget just won't afford it.
Right.
But yeah, let's talk more about the conference. I didn't think of that.
I'm really excited about it. So, and this actually came about in our last conference in October. It hit me. What we're trying to do is we're trying to equip what we call the 360-degree author. The 360-degree author is, if you're writing a book, what are all the things you should know right from the outset? Thinking like writing like a business person. When writing like a business person, thinking about page count, word count, how long the book's going to be, the retail price. Writing with the journalist in mind, and how do you tell a good story? Writing with a bookstore, even as a bookstore manager, what is a bookstore manager looking for in a book? And so we're trying to equip our authors, and we're going to be doing more with that as the year progresses. I'm going to write a book called this 360-degree author. It's going to come out probably sometime in the summer, and then we're going to focus our conference this year on story. How do you tell a story? And Donald Miller has this concept he calls story brand. How do you market your book in inviting your readers into a story? It doesn't matter if you're fiction or nonfiction. And so I'm already getting the pieces in place. We're going to spend the whole day with people that are going to tell you, how do you tell a compelling story? How do you invite authors or readers into your story as you market your book?
The conference info and other info will be at
IllumifyMedia.com, ILLUMIFY media.com. And in fact, if anybody out there wants to run a book idea by me, there's a scheduling link on the website where you can schedule time on Zoom with me, and let's volley around the possibilities of your book. And you can also sign up I have a weekly Power Writers Report that I have a couple thousand people who read it, and my open rate's over 50%. I mean, people really like it. It's been very popular, and you can sign up for the Power Writers Report as well at the website.
Yeah, and McHenry Press is basically the same thing, but the other imprint, and that's McHenryPress.com. Yeah.
MCHENRY Press.com.
Now, you have to be careful because there is another McHenry, Illinois Press news outlet. So, yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh, you did? Yeah, so if you put in McHenry Press, you're not necessarily the one that pops up on top in Google.
Wow, interesting.
Anyway, thank you, Michael J. Clausen, for spending some time with me today. It was great getting to interact with you again, and I really wish that I could come out for that conference, but been on a couple of your webinars. That's another thing. Occasionally you have a webinar. Talk about that.
Yeah, we just did one. We put our authors on a publishing platform called Ingram Spark, and Joseph, your books are on Ingram Spark, and it's they distribute, they do all the printing and everything, and there are certain promotions that they offer, and we trained our authors on how to use some of these promotions that Ingram Spark offers. So we do webinars like this, every few months, and on different topics. And actually, in the business book market that we're getting into, I'm going to be doing a monthly, like an open shop where people can come in once a month at the same time every month, and they can get tips on how to write, and they can ask me questions.
Yeah, and that's another important detail we kind of glossed over, didn't mean to. You don't print any books. You publish, you get it ready to be published or printed via and through Ingram Spark, which is the big player in book printing.
Right. So, yeah, Ingram Content Group's the world's biggest book distribution company and printing company. And so they created Ingram Spark for authors. So you create your account. We upload the files to your account. We do all the work and upload the files to your account. And then, Joseph, you can buy however many copies you want. You just go onto your Ingram Spark account, order copies. You can have them delivered somewhere. And they do all the printing and all the fulfillment. And your book's available in North America, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, and Great Britain. So pretty much the whole English-speaking world, they make it available to.
Yeah, for some reason, I usually mention Booktopia in Australia. For some reason, I do pretty good through Booktopia in Australia.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, you never know. You just never know. I mean, you can suspect, but there are so many new authors on a daily basis out there. There's a lot of noise. You need the edge in helping to cut through that noise, yes?
Right. Or, like I said, if a person does all the work themselves, they usually produce a book that drives readers away from their book rather than to their book. So we're trying to help make your book, create your book in a way, work with you, collaborate in a book that's going to or that people are going to want to read your book. They're going to want to open it. The book cover, the interior design, the copy editing. We require a professional copy editor so it reads smoothly, minimize the mistakes inside, and sell more books and change the world.
Yeah, one of the potential services you offer is a short term of promotion. You took over my Twitter and IG accounts for a while. And was it Lisa that did
she
that?
Might have done it. We have, so she still does work for us. We have a marketing director, and she's been so we've been pulling her in on a lot of our book launches where she helps build your book launch team so that you can get 20 5-star reviews on Amazon within the first couple weeks, and then build it up to 40, because people aren't going to buy a book that nobody else is reading, that they think nobody else is reading. So, but she does social media. She's able to get people into podcasts. That's another service that we offer. So I'm pretty happy with the setup that we have in helping promote authors' books.
Yeah, in fact, I just took one of the images. It's a woman holding a baby, because in my Naperville chapter, I talk about Teresa. Are you going to be a mama bear or an ostrich? Are you going to be the protector, or are you going to pretend the world is great, everything is wonderful, and nothing bad can ever happen to you? Well, bad things happen at times to good people, right? You don't bring it on, it just can't happen. Again, I don't want people paranoid, but I ran that through the Grok Imagine 1.0 the other day, and it brought the image Lisa did for me to life. So I'm resharing it again in an animated form to further promote. That's another great thing. Images, the AI is great for image creation. Tell it what you want, and then like Grok Imagine 1.0 can bring it further into an animated short, much more of a life, because this TikTok world we're living in, short attention spans, and people want video.
Right, absolutely. ADHD. I tell authors, when you write your manuscript, you got to begin with the assumption that your reader has ADHD, because they all do. Thanks to the internet, gaming, and whatever. So,
yep.
Gotta get their attention.
A lot of noise. Yeah. There
Right.
are more and more books, but it seems like there's less and less people reading. Or is that not true? Is that a myth?
I mean, the book sales have stayed pretty steady. I don't know about literacy rates. I mean, whether reading rates, but
whole other question. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I will say this: Christian book sales are up, and Bibles are up like tripled in the last 5 years, and so there's something going on in the hearts of everyday Americans, and it's good. But the Christian publishing, actually readership has increased, and the other publishing companies, they don't understand what's going on. So it's just kind of interesting.
All right. Thanks again, Michael J. Clausen. Have yourself a great day. Take care. God bless, brother.
God bless. Thanks, Joseph.
Metaphors, what a bore. I'm far too clever for those whatevers I use. Meta sixes to turn my trickses. Your analogy is lame, way too tame. Move over and let me show you how it goes. Metaphors, what a bore. I'm far too clever for those whatevers. I bend my meaning clean and quick. I don't hint at apples when I just mean brick. I like my language sharp as chisels, words like razors, words that sizzle. Oh yeah, I use meta sixes to turn my trickses, stack my senses, flip my fixes. Oh, 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 say it straight till the line untwists. Meta sixes, meta sixes. Take one thought, split it in six. Taste, touch, sight, sound, smell, the sixth. Run it through rhythm till logic clicks. That's how I shuffle my little mind tricks. Hey, I don't paint clouds when I mean rain. I count each droplet by its name. I use meta sixes to turn my trickses, stack my senses, flip my fixes. Oh, 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 say it straight till the line untwists. Meta sixes, meta sixes.
The Book of Kennedy, Project Carpe Diem. Back of the book says it all. Kennedy realized that indeed all life had value and meaning, but indeed, as Stu's Life movie also tried to make clear, was life just indeed a collection of mediocre days with some random happy times? Was life irreparable and tainted with misspent youth, bad reputation children might have had, or redeemable with age and wisdom acquired? What then was the sum of that life, if, like the Egyptians believed at time of weighing by Osiris, and Anubis could be lighter than a feather? In order to pass into the afterlife, or too tainted and weighed down by those earlier transgressions, dwelling on the mundane, or even clearly happens from time to time bad or negative days, or those good times in the math of life, so to to speak, were good deeds and good days, perhaps worth a larger value in the overall equation, getting to that balance, sheet, sum, total. The day-to-day, a butterfly effect, the small smiles shown to another that made their day better. Perhaps maybe even saved a life whose life then went on to produce another, through a child, who then goes on to cure cancer. What role then did that small, seemingly insignificant smile, on that day, likely long forgotten by all parties involved in the smile transactions, as it seemed at the time, play in that role of another one day curing cancer? How many points might that tender toward afterlife admittance? And what score does one have to achieve? Note from the author. I want to state as a warning, this book contains not one line of dialogue. I feel it important to say that, because a reviewer of my Terror Strikes, Coming Soon to a City Near You novel once wrote that she didn't think there was enough dialogue in it. Well, in all interviews I'd ever given regarding that book, I never promised it to be a dialogue-laden book. In fact, that while having some dialogue, it is heavy narrative style, as this book is entirely narration style, versus Plato's dialogues, Philip Roth's Deception, Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath, which known for extensive use of dialogue courtesy, of asking Google for that answer.
Life has its ups and downs, like a tilt-a whirl can spin us around. Life like an amusement park, but not always too amusing. Ups, downs, happy and sad, cycles and seasons. Sometimes lost, others feel we're found. It can turn around. Hold on, don't let go now. It can turn around. It can turn around. Ups to the sky, downs in the ground. Oh, it can turn around. Oh, it can turn around. Oh, if you feel lost, you can be found. Morning comes in pieces, then the day leans hard. One foot in the dust, one hand on the bars. Some days break you open, some days let you breathe. Still the wheel keeps moving, still you have belief. Wait, it can turn around. Hold on, don't let go now. It can turn around. Oh, it can turn around. Oh, ups to the sky, downs in the ground. Oh, it can turn around. Oh, it can turn around. Oh, if you feel lost, you can be found. Season after season, we learn the ride. Every fall can teach us how to climb. So when the wall gets heavy, hear me now. What spins you down today can turn around. It can turn around. ups and downs, like a tilt-a-whirl can spin us around. Life, like an amusement park, but not always too amusing. Ups, downs, happy, sad, cycles and seasons. Sometimes lost, others feel we're found. Wait, it can turn around.
Like and subscribe to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help. Thank you for having tuned into another Constitutionalist Podcast show. I really appreciate that you stopped by. Again, please like, share, subscribe. We need you to help spread the Constitutionalist movement. Thank you again. Take care. God bless. Love you all.